down the stretch they come. Just a few weeks remain in the OJ regular season, so the stakes are elevated right now. And we've got the highlights coming on up. This is the OJ Today. Welcome, everyone. We have got so much to catch up on today. Marty Savoie, the commish himself, will join me to chat about the upcoming playoffs and all the huge events taking place with the league this spring. Plus, we'll have a feature story on one of the most famous organizations in Canadian junior hockey, and that would be St. Michael's. But first, the bar down game highlights. And Cobourg and Whitby have been going back and forth all season in a vicious battle for second place in the East. Now, the Cougars, as we all know, are going to be hosting the Royal Bank Cup this spring, but apparently that hasn't affected their compete levels so far. They continue to bring their A game, and they needed every ounce of it as they took on the Whitby Fury last Sunday. OJ Highlights now brought to you by Bar Down, official clothing supplier to the OJHL. These two teams have been going back and forth for second place all season out east. Pick it up in the first. Cougars up 1-0 when Ryan Heaps goes roof daddy past Stefano Durante to knot it up at one apiece. Cobourg would get it back, though. Matthew Carroll just plants himself out front here, jams it past Austin Kane to put the Cougars back out front, and they would pad their lead just before the buzzer as Reed McInnes with the off-speed one-timer that fools Kane. Cobourg looking good, up 3-1. That was it for Kane, replaced by Logan Gauthier in the second, and he was rock solid, making several big stops here. And then the Fury on the power play. They would work it back to Ryan Taylor, who whips it home from the top of the circle, and the lead is cut to 3-2. And then it's passing perfection from Whitby. Matt Lattin, the Jeffrey Gall, bing, bang, boom. And it's all knotted up at 3 apiece. No scoring in the third. Off to OT, and in the extra frame, Durante knocks the net off here. And the call is made for the penalty shot. Now, Brock Welsh missed a penalty earlier in the game. Not so this time. The gorgeous Dangles to put it home and seal the massive win for the Fury. Great character comeback for the Durham Region boys. And they needed that one desperately as it snapped the 4-game slide. And they have plenty more work to do still, as they currently sit 4 points behind the Cougars for second in the East. So another vicious battle taking place out east is between Wellington and Kingston. Now, neither squad has a chance to move up to third in the division, so the struggle is for fourth. Lose a game, and you could lose a spot in the all-important Northeast playoff seedings. And the Dukes weren't about to let 2 points slip from their grasp last weekend as they took on struggling Aurora. The Dukes were coming off a tough loss to Markham, and Aurora jumped on them early. 7:45 in, Carmine Alberga knocks home the rebound, and it's 1-0 for the Cats. But it was all Dukes from that point on. Less than a minute later, Rory Milne wraps home the rebound, and that makes it a 1-1 hockey game. And then it's Kyle Prindell getting sprung on the break, and he beats Braden LaChance, and Wellington goes up. They take the 2-1 lead, and they were just getting warmed up. Great work by Mitch Van Donka, channeling Mitch Marner here. Great dangles, and then he roofs it to make it a 3-1 hockey game. Much more still to come. Hunter Gunsky from the point, he just slides it along the ice, and it's enough to find its way past the chance. 4-1 for the Dukes then. Late in the frame, this was all in the first period. Justin Bean with the absolute beauty that tickles the twine, and that made it 5-1 Dukes. If you can believe it, that was all the scoring for the game. It all takes place in the first period, but more than enough for Wellington. Balanced scoring for the Dukes with 5 different players getting in on the fun, and they stay within a point of Kingston in the battle for fourth in the East. Okay, this one looked like it might be a slaughter, but Mississauga kept it close for most of the game. But just 1:25 in, Ryan Takamatsu tips it home to give the Raiders an early 1-0 advantage. And then it's Kevin Love on skates. That would be 6'7" Jake Payette, the money man, picking up his 12th of the year for G-Town. Soft hands for a big man, and it's 2-0 for the Raiders. Missy gets one back, though, and there it is. Almost missed it. Noah Kalsner low gets it past Josh Astorino. Mississauga not looking all that bad in the first frame. Second period, though, the Raiders poured on. 5-on-3 here, Josh Dickinson just squeaks it past Tyler Caruana, and G-Town regains the 2-goal cushion. And then still on the power play here, the big Blaz, Keegan Blasby, finds daylight behind Caruana. All smiles on this day for Georgetown as they go on to add one more in the third to make it a 5-1 final. Josh Astorino actually had to make 34 stops in this game, so the Chargers did have their chances. G-Town currently has a 15-point bulge over Burlington for first in the West. Okay, Players of the Month announced, brought to you by Bar Down Hockey. Go Bar Down, and they are. In goal, Mr. Astorino from Georgetown. Great month, sparkling 1.68 goals against average. In the Northeast, Braden Storts of Wellington, 11 goals in 12 games. And Mr. Personality, Cameron Wright of St. Mike's in the Southwest, who had a great month. Congrats to all. OJ trivia for this month. Who was the first player taken directly from the OJ in last year's draft? Now, not an alumnus, but someone who was taken directly from an OJ team. First correct answer to our Morocco at theojhl.ca wins a prize pack. Welcome back to the OJ today. Well, the name St. Michael's is synonymous with hockey success across this country. From the Big M, Frank Mahovlich, to the Big E, Eric Lindros, hundreds of alumni have gone on to play in the NHL. Well, this season finds the young Buzzers right in the thick of the playoff race once again. And we take a closer look now at the phenomenon that is St. Mike's. In this week's team report, brought to you by Muscle Milk. Muscle Milk. Get stronger every day. In a quiet moment at the venerable old St. Michael's Arena, you can almost hear the skate blades of legends of years past carving up the pristine white surface. A who's who of stars, Hall of Famers, over 200 players that have worn the famous St. Michael's M have gone on to play in the NHL. The junior tradition is carried on today through the Buzzers. It's an honor which isn't lost on the talented players that wear the blue and white.
Well, I think it's an honor anytime you get to put on the M. I went to high school here, so I played U14 hockey, junior hockey, and eventually senior hockey or prep hockey here. So every time you come in here, I mean, you get to see all the names that were here before you, and you get to continue that tradition that not many people get to do. And I think the biggest thing is being able to represent St. Mike's. Like you said, there's so few people that get to do it, especially at this high level.
St. Mike's has a long and storied hockey tradition. It's going on about 110 years of hockey here, and 85 specifically for the Buzzers. For any kid that comes here to the school and combines athletics and academics, there's probably no better place to play. For us and for our kids, we create an environment for them to succeed and to combine school and hockey. And you know, for them, most of them, their goal is to go down to the U.S. and play hockey or to move on to the OHL.
The Buzzers last won the OJHL title in 2013. This year, the squad is once again in the thick of the playoff race, chasing Oakville for first in the South Division. All this with one of the youngest junior teams in all of Canada.
We just want to, we're losing a couple tight games we don't want to. We have tough December, but we're looking at January and February here and thinking we can make the run. We can win a lot of games and hopefully come out top first in the division, so then we can hopefully avoid some of the tougher teams in the conference until later in the playoffs, where we can definitely make a run at them too. So.
Yes, the Buzzers are young, but it's been a 20-year-old that's led the charge this year. Team captain AJ Dorazio, a grizzled veteran of 4 OJ seasons.
He's awesome. He's a little spark plug. He's a great guy in the room. He's friendly with everyone, and he scores some pretty big-time goals. So yeah, he's crucial to the success of this team.
Cameron Wright has been one of the top scorers for St. Mike's all season. He's headed to Bowling Green State on a scholarship next fall and was named the Bar Down Southwest Player of the Month for January.
In him, here's a kid that's worked on his skating and worked on his game, put on 20, 30 pounds, and now has become a dominant player in our league. Has a real good set of hands and has a nose for the net. I think he's got some pro potential, and at the end of the day, I think Bowling Green's got a guy that went under the radar here for quite a while.
Finn Evans is headed to Princeton in 2018 and was chosen to Team Canada East for the World Junior A Challenge this year.
Finn's a character, that's for sure, but he's a guy that you don't see much better hockey sense anywhere else, and for such a young guy to be so talented and bring such a dynamic presence to the ice, you don't see it very often.
Cameron Searles adds to the potent scoring attack, averaging well over a point per game for the Buzzers. On the back end, Mark Paolini has been a revelation, a rock-solid D-man who's among the OJ's top-scoring defensemen. He'll join Finn Evans at Princeton.
He's so smart with the puck and without the puck. Like, he knows where to be, and even in our zone, he makes plays, like he makes the right pass, and he's so poised and calm that it's so nice to be out there with him, because if you just got to get open, and he'll give you that perfect pass to go in on the zone.
In goal, Cosimo Lazzarino has shone for the team, keeping them in numerous close games. The thing about the Buzzers is that they may be young, but they're fearless. They see no reason why they can't go all the way this year, adding yet another championship for the legendary organization.
I think that, again, we can surprise teams. Teams come into here and thinking they're going to win, and we beat a lot of teams with this rink, and then we have the speed to be able to go into an Oakville or into a bigger rink and be able to beat them too. So, no, I'm really excited for the playoffs, and I think we can go deep and surprise some teams for sure.
Okay, one OJ commitment to tell you about from the last week, and it's Anthony Fiorillo, the D-man from Kingston. 18 points so far this year in 45 games, and he chooses Colorado College, big school. Congrats to Anthony on the commitment for 2018-19. And the standings that start in the East. Look, all 5 Eastern teams qualified for the playoffs now. Trenton, Cobourg, Whitby, Kingston, and Wellington. To the north we go. Markham with a comfortable 8-point lead now over Stouffville, followed by Newmarket, Lindsay Pickering, and Aurora, who picks up their 7th win of the year last week. Oakville leads St. Mike's by 5 points, followed by the JRCs, the Pats, the Rangers, and Mississauga in the south. And in the west, Georgetown comfortably ahead of Burlington now by 15 points, and they're followed by Buffalo, Orangeville, and Milton having a difficult season on the bottom there. A reminder, the Dudley Hewitt Cup taking place in Trenton May 2nd to the 7th. Get your tickets now. It's going to be a great event, the Central Canadian Championship. 2 websites there for you to go to. And, of course, the big one, the National Championship, the RBC Cup, taking place May 13th to the 21st in Cobourg. You can visit hockeycanada.ca/RBC Cup or the Cougars website for ticket information. Welcome back to the OJ today. So pleased to be joined in the studio now by Commissioner Marty Savoy. Took you long enough to get in here, for crying out loud. Are you a busy man or something like that?
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy year, but it's great to be back, Alex. And we love the show. All the fans and the players love the show. So
Awesome.
Thanks for everything.
Good to have you here. Unbelievably, 5 months into the season now. Where's the time gone? So much stuff has happened in the OJ this year. Maybe just your little recap this year of how things are going from a league perspective.
Well, I think it's beyond expectations. You know, we go into a season, we don't really know with what kind of players we're going to have and the team makeup's going to be, and we always hope that we have some strong teams that can compete nationally. I think when you look at the national rankings, we have teams in the either top 1, 2 every week. We have 3 or 4 nationally ranked teams, and you look at the teams that we're going down the stretch here. We have 6, 7 teams that could win it all. And then because we have that, we have a bunch of ones that are just below that. So it's really exciting to just see the level of play that we have in the league this year. And the high-end guys are just throwing it out of the roof.
And you mentioned to me before we got on air here, one of the interesting comments was you've never had this much action at the trade deadline before. The amount of transactions was unprecedented, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think some of that has to do with us hosting both the regional and national championships, but I think more so just the job some of these guys do in building these clubs is that they're a player or two away from winning a regional or a national championship, let alone our league championship, but they're a piece or two away, so we saw more action than we ever have in my 7 years involved with the league at the trade deadline.
Right. We didn't have you on after the World Junior A Challenge last year, so we're actually going to step back one moment because we're going to get to the Dudley Hewitt Cup, we're going to get to the Royal Bank Cup in just a second. But Trenton and Cobourg, who are hosting those big tournaments, of course, had some games at the World Junior A Challenge last year along with Whitby. So they got a bit of a trial run for it, but you got to see the teams that came in, you got to see the crowds that came out. What did it mean for the league to be able to have that tournament last year into those cities?
Well, it's important for us to be able to bring that high junior A level of hockey brand to show our fans and everybody in Scouts of what the elite junior A is all about. And I think both host groups did an outstanding job. Trenton hosted one of the exhibition games for us and did an outstanding job and just proved that those communities can support those types of events. We struggle to make sure we have towns that can help us support and run the event through volunteers, sponsorship, town commitment, and whatnot. And I think that event proved that the OJHL can run these events, and it proves because now we got a regional and national championship in the same year, which very few leagues have ever done.
Absolutely. Moving ahead right now to one of the things you're excited about is, well, I think we're all excited unless you're a Habs fan, Boo, or something like that, or a Senators fan. If you're in this region, come on, you got to be a Leafs fan. Is seeing your Mitch Marner, your Connor Brown, and of course Zach Hyman, all OJ alumni who are playing with the Leafs this year, and what that means. And there's some exciting stuff going on, but you just love seeing the amount of OJ alumni playing for the Leafs this year.
Yeah, it's interesting, Alex, because because we're so centrally populated around Toronto to have three guys come through. So Mitch played as an AP with St. Michael's. He scored I think you were at that game, 2 of the 3 goals in the finals for that team. Had a great run to the Dudley. Connor Brown played a year for St. Michael's and then went on to the OHL and then on to his career. And Zach Hyman was a former CJHL Player of the Year. So we talk about being the league of choice. They've taken different paths, but they have the same results. And to have those guys kind of playing on the team that we all kind of follow in this area, it's just great promotion for what our teams are producing, the types of player that they're succeeding at the next level.
Absolutely. Okay, let's touch on the Dudley and the RBC. And let's start with the Dudley first. Trenton are the hosts. Checking the dates, that's the May 2nd to the 6th is going to be taking place. So I made a road trip out to Trenton. I filmed there. The atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable at the Duncan Memorial Arena. They like to call it the hangar, of course. Great atmosphere. 1,000 fans out for a Friday night game against Kingston. But there's so much atmosphere and there's so much excitement in that town going on right now over hosting the Dudley.
Yeah, the one thing I can tell and can say, if you're looking to go to that event, buy a ticket now.
Yeah.
They will sell out that event. The host is doing a great job. The city has been unbelievable. The mayor's at almost every game. They've stepped up. The team is there. They have everything we need in a host city and in a host team. And we obviously will have the 2 teams there. So 2 of the 4 teams will be from the OJHL. So it's going to be a really exciting tournament. The last time we held it in Wellington, the finals was the Dukes versus the Patriots. And it's one of the best games I've been to in a long time.
Right.
So the level of hockey when you're competing for a championship just ratchets it up a bit, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course the RBC, the big one, taking place, the dates at May 13th to the 21st, hosted by the Cobourg Cougars, and Brent Tully and his staff have done a fantastic job this year, not only of assembling the team, which we'll get to in a moment, but also in marketing this thing. And same thing, the buzz is I talked to the Cobourg guys the other day doing some interviews and the head coach, and I've spoken to Brent Tully, and apparently there's so much excitement in Cobourg over this event.
Yeah, there really is. Like I say, you can go to a World Junior A Championship, you can go to a regional championship, but there's nothing quite like a national hockey championship to be part of in a community. The entire community gets behind it, they get behind the team, and they've done that in Cobourg here. They have an event coming up in a couple of nights here in Toronto called Ramp Up to the Cup. Of course, yeah. They're excited to probably a sellout for that event as well. So they've done a great job through Brent Tully and Mark Mercy and the group there that's promoting the event. And we will have, hopefully, if we win the Dudley, 2 entries into that one, which our odds obviously a little bit better.
Increase a bit, yeah.
But it's again, if you've never been to a national hockey championship in this country, it's a real fun, exciting environment to be in.
Yeah, and one other thing regarding that is teams typically load up, of course, if you're going to be a Dudley host, if you're going to be an RBC host. It doesn't always pay off, though. You don't see it pay off always. But these are two teams, and that's what makes it so exciting. Once again, Trenton, a powerhouse. Cobourg in second place in the Eastern Division, which is, I like to say, the most difficult division in all of Canadian Junior A hockey. How cool is it to see that those teams, obviously, they're going to be there regardless, but they are earning their way in at the same time.
Yeah, both those clubs have been nationally ranked the entire year. You look at both Trenton and Cobourg, they have great leadership from a hockey standpoint and an ownership standpoint. They're going into it and they know they're a player or two away from winning something.
Yep.
Both of those groups, I know Brent Tully talks about this a lot, is that you don't want to go in the back door, you want to go in the front door for this thing. And he's taken a lot of pride in trying to build that team, and John Druce has done an outstanding job.
And that's the path they're on. We're out of time. We could go on for hours about this as usual. Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
We'll have you on again. More OJ Today coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to the OJ Today. If somebody could please figure out the Stouffville spirit, inquiring minds would love to know what makes this squad tick. Now, at times this season, they've looked incredible, taking down the likes of Kingston, Wellington, and Trenton. But on the other hand, they've dropped contests to division rivals Lindsay twice, Aurora, and Newmarket. So it's been tough to gauge this squad with any consistency. And they continued to confuse and confound last weekend as they couldn't take advantage of the last place Tigers. Aurora was looking for just its 7th win of the season in this game. Pick it up in the first, Stouffville leading 1-0. Magnificent Mel Melkonian, as Joe Montezano likes to call him, ties it up 1-1. And then William Constantinou. Sweet moves here as he shelves it past Hunter Jones to make it 2-1 Tigers. And they keep coming. Connor McMillan out front, pokes it home, and an upset was brewing. Second frame, Stouffville cuts into the lead as James Waldron's seeing eye shot will beat Jake Sabourin, and Aurora's advantage is cut down to just 1. But then just before the buzzer, Jacob Katsopoulos, stick on the ice, always a good idea. He tips it in behind Jones, and it's 4-2. For the Cats. Third frame was a wild one. Watch out front here as Alex Williamson channels Jose Batista, smacks it out of midair, and that would cut the lead to 4-3 Aurora. But in honor of Dr. Seuss, the Cats came back. Anthony Paveglio's point shot dribbles past Jones, and that would right there prove to be the game winner, because late in the frame, Joss Argier would smack it home past Sabourin, but it was too little, too late on this night as Stouffville celebrates. But Aurora would go on to add an empty netter to make it a 6-4 final, and that stings for Stouffville, who, as mentioned, have been consistently inconsistent this season, and they now sit 8 points behind Markham in the battle for first in the North Division. Well, the Burlington Cougars have been absolutely cruising over the last few weeks and appear to be peaking at just the right time. Now, the Cougs have counted massive wins over Georgetown, Oakville, and Cobourg, just to name a few. And they were trying to add one more victim to the list last weekend as they took on Whitby. This truly was a delicious matchup. Two very strong teams going head-to-head. Mario Calaveri, so huge for the Cougars on this day, makes one of his many big stops there on Ryan Taylor. Burlington strikes first. Michael Bushi hits Matt Gorey, who hits the back of the net. 1-0. Cougars, second frame now. Burlington on the power play. Mason Snell. A nice shot block for Whitby here, but then seconds later, the point shot gets deflected home by Phil the Thrill Laganov to make it 2-0 for the Felines. Logan Gauthier has to be on his toes to keep it from getting much worse as he stones Austin Bottrell. Fury get one back on the PP as Ryan Heaps knocks it home. That cuts the lead in half to 2-1. And Burlington was missing chances to put this one away. Dante Filicetti skying it over the net there. But then Calaveri saves his team's bake. An utter larceny on Tiger McDonald. and the keeper would be the difference maker on this day for the Cougs. A 2-1 squeaker is the final. So Burlington red hot right now. They've won 9 of 10, including decisions over Georgetown, Whitby, Cobourg, and Oakville. They loaded up at the deadline and are looking like a dangerous squad for the playoffs. Okay, Cougars in action the next day against the Patriots. The Cats looked horrible at first. Colton Kalizic, sweet moves. He beats the keeper, and it's ones at Patriots. And then Oliver Benwell goes for a skate. It just ends up floating it at the net here, and lo and behold, in it goes. The Seeing Eye shot makes it 2-0 Toronto. Second frame, they keep pouring it on. Colton Kalizic uncovered at the side of the net. Not a good move, and he makes it 3-0 Pats. But then Burlington starts to wake up. Tyler Ryder, great work off the face-off. He does all the work himself, and it pays off as he finally gets the visitors on the board. The teams would trade goals, and then it's Austin Bottrell with way too much time and space. He goes bottle hunting and finds Mr. Gatorade. And it's 4-3 at that point, but they would knot it up on the third. Bottrell with the second beauty of the game as he roofs it past Cam Gray. What a comeback, which led to overtime where it was Michael Boucher finding Matt Watson for the game winner. Burlington getting it done in all different kinds of ways these days. The Cats may have used up a few of their 9 lives in this one, though. Still a character comeback, as the Patriots can only wonder what might have been. Okay, the top 5 for this week brought to you by Jostens, official championship ring provider to the OJHL. And number 5, you just saw it, Austin Bottrell of the Cougars goes roof daddy past Cam Gray, part of the huge Cougs comeback win over Toronto. At number 4, Mitchell Mendonca. He's got the moves like Jagger, dipping and diving through Aurora before finishing it off in style. Nicely done. Number 3, keep your eye on Stouffville's Alex Williamson here as he plays the bank shot off the glass, bats it home. Great hand-eye coordination. Sign him up, Ross Atkins. Couldn't be that much worse at the plate than Ryan Goins, right? Number 2, Mario Calaveri says, I don't think so, to Tiger McDonald as he flashes the leather for the huge stop. And number 1, Mr. Bo Dangles, otherwise known as Brock Welsh, the penalty shot beauty to win it in overtime for Whitby against Cobourg. That is our play of the week. And that is going to wrap it up for this week. But just remember, to keep up to date on everything with the league, you can always head to ojhl.ca. You can also go to Twitter, where you can find it at OJHL Official, and on Facebook at facebook.com/OJHL Official. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and we will see you next week.